Hey guys, it's Aislinn, and in today's video, we're going to be dyeing my hair rainbow. I'm very, very excited. I haven't had rainbow hair since like June, July, so it's been quite a while. This summer, I've really been experimenting with other colors and not necessarily just sticking to my normal rainbow shades. So I'm very excited to have rainbow hair back. It's gonna make me feel refreshed and like myself again. My hair is very damaged. It's falling out, and so I have to choose a color, choose a pattern, and stick with it for a while. I'm gonna be trying different brands of hair dye every time I refresh my rainbow hair. You guys have been asking me to try the Good Dye Young. So today we're going to be trying this brand. Next time I'll be trying Eero. I have had these purchased for months and I've just been waiting to use them. Today's finally the day. I cannot wait to open these up, see what the texture's like, see what the fragrance is like, and just see what the color scheme is. I'm also pretty nervous because the colors that are in the spectrum are not normally the shades I would go for, so I'm gonna have to do a lot of tweaking with the formulation to make the shades exactly how I would want them. For instance, the purple shade is very, very dark and it's super blue toned, and I like to lean more towards a pinky purple, so I'm gonna have to add a whole bunch of pink into the purple to make the shade that I like. Same thing with the green shade. This is a very just plain dark neutral green, and I like more of like a neon lime green. So I'm gonna have to add a bunch of Steal My Sunshine in with the green to make it more of a neon green. Let's go ahead and open all of these shades and see what they look like, so that way I can get formulating to the perfect colors that I prefer. So for pink, I have X-Girl. For orange, I have Riot. For yellow, I have Steal My Sunshine. For green, we're going to be mixing Cowabunga and Steal My Sunshine. For blue, we're going to be using Blue Muse, and I'm gonna dilute this with a lot of conditioner. And for my purple shade, I'm gonna be mixing Purple Eater with some X-Girl. I'm going to quickly section my hair off camera, and then I'll come back, open up the color, and get everything mixed. So for today's pattern, I'm gonna be doing this front section right here, like ombre rainbow, and then the rest of this is just gonna be the normal jawbreaker technique, going from pink all the way to purple, and then just repeating all the way down my hair. Got my color bowls. Ooh, I can't wait to open these up and see what they look like. So they did change the package. This is what the old one looks like. On the bottle, it doesn't say what color it is anywhere, and I was like, how am I supposed to know without opening them? But on the new packaging, they put this little label at the bottom, so it's way easier to be able to tell what colors you're working with, which normally, I guess most people, it wouldn't be an issue because they're normally working with 1 or 2 colors, but because I'm working with 6, it's hard for me to keep track of them if I don't have some type of identifying color marker on them. So I like that they started putting this on the bottom. We're gonna start with the pink shade. Here's the pink. Okay, they're really thick right off the bat. This pink shade is really pretty, but it has more of a bluish undertone to it. So I am going to add a little bit of orange in there because I like my pinks to be more neutral and not heavy on the bluer side. So there's what the pink looks like in the bowl. This is very, very, very thick. Okay, I'm just gonna add a little bit of orange. Okay, this orange looks very dark, so I'm just adding a tiny bit. I'm gonna probably wind up diluting a lot of these shades because the depth is insane. Here's the yellow shade. Okay, so as I'm pouring out the yellow, it looks yellow, but then there's some orange streaks in there, and I looked on their Instagram and it says that's because of the natural oils that are in their dye. It makes it look orangey, but when you rinse it off, it's actually like a very nice true neon yellow. I'm gonna start the green shade with a yellow base, so I'm gonna add some yellow in there. This green is so dark. Here's the blue. This blue looks black. Holy crap. I would rather a color line have way too much pigment than not enough, because then I can dilute it with conditioner, whereas if it's not enough, then you just don't have enough pigment and it's not going to show up very well. Purple looks black too. All right, let me mix these up and see what we got. Oh, this is so thick. I'm just diluting the orange shade because it's so dark. Oh my goodness. I'm going to add some yellow in with the orange because it just looks red right now and it's way too dark for my liking. This is so thick, you guys. Look at this. Can you guys see how thick this is? It is like paste. This is going to be very, very difficult to apply to the hair. The yellow is very clumpy. It's not smooth at all. It has very large clumps in it. Oh, I don't want to use this dye at all. I do not want to use this dye. It is so incredibly thick. I'm like, my mind, I can't process this right now. Okay, let me show you a difference here. So I added half conditioner, half dye. So this is a very nice consistency of dye that I prefer to use. It's a conditioning based, it's nice, it's thick, but it's not too thick. Now let me move along to the green. And also, do you see how blue this is? This looks straight up blue. And I added half pink, half purple. So I'm gonna add even more pink. This dye, the yellow is so incredibly chunky. I know it's the yellow because I added it to my orange and now my orange is chunky. I added it to my green shade and now my green is so incredibly chunky. I'm gonna add conditioner to pretty much all of these shades. First impressions are not good. We're not doing good, people. The yellow smells weird too. Like the yellow has such a different fragrance than the rest of them. It's a different consistency, it's chunky, it smells different. I am not a fan so far. I'm very, very disappointed and sad because I really, really, really wanted to love this. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm so incredibly sad right now. Oh man, I fucking hate saying bad things about companies, especially when they're like owned by someone that I like admire and really enjoy. I'm gonna swatch these real quick because I wanna make sure that they're going to look okay. Here are the shades that I have come up with and concocted after sitting here for probably like 30 minutes trying to get these shades right. I'm still not happy with the orange and the purple, so I'm gonna tweak them a little bit. I'm gonna have to dump out like half of my orange and add the rest of the yellow I have to this to make it not so red toned. I feel like this video is gonna be a shit show, so buckle yourself in because this is gonna be, I'm taking you on a fucking ride, bro. The fact that I paid money for these, absolutely not. Like I want to throw all of this away and grab my Arctic Fox hair color and do my hair. That's how I'm feeling right now. This is going to be very difficult and I'm not gonna have a good time. I hate this. I love dyeing my hair. When I use Arctic Fox, it's just like so simple, so easy. I know what I'm doing. I know what colors to use. Like, I trust them. I know that they're gonna come out good. I know they're gonna fade beautifully, and like, I don't feel any sort of excitement about using this brand right now, which is horrible. And I hate having to say this, but I spent so much money on all these dyes and I know you guys wanna know, and this is how I feel. And I want to save you guys from spending your money. Okay, I'm on my iPhone. I feel like I can already hear the comments being typed right now that I'm like way too over dramatic, or like it's not that thick, or it's not that bad, blah, blah, blah. So I decided I'm gonna do some live swatches of every color just straight out of the tube so you can see the thickness up close. You can also see the original colors without them being diluted. The only color I don't have any more of is the yellow shade, which I'll try and find maybe a clip of someone else using the yellow shade, but I used all of that one because I was putting it in the green and putting it in other colors. So I don't have any of that one left, and that one was the one that was the worst out of all of them. It was very clumpy and thick, and I wish I had that one to show you. I thought about going and buying a tube, but I would have to drive an hour to get it, and I'm not gonna use it again, so it's kind of just a waste of money for me to do that. So I'm gonna start dumping these colors out of the tubes. Okay, sorry, there was like not any left in the pink, so I had to set this down for a minute. Yeah, the green has that chunkiness to it too. I don't know, you can see the texture on camera. See how the orange is smooth? And then this one is like very clumpy and textured. You can definitely see the camera is picking that up pretty well. There's just a big inconsistency between the dyes, and the yellow was way worse than this. There was actually like very large like beads and clumps in the yellow.
I don't know if you can tell, but it's like very highlighter yellow, and I kind of want like a smidge dollar because that's just like not my vibe, you know what I mean? So I'm just going to squirt it in. Oh yeah. For some reason, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it doesn't seem like the dyes like mixed together very well. There is like some orangey strands and like lines throughout the hair dye, which is interesting. So I'm not sure if maybe it's because it's been sitting in like the Sally's warehouse for a long time, or if like it's always does that. I'm not too sure. And then
I also went to their Instagram, and this is a little disclaimer they have about their yellow. It basically says there's essential oils and ingredients in there that might make the dye look orange. So here they're going to show you basically when you pour out the dye straight out of the tube, it can appear orange, but when you rinse off the hair, it's going to be super bright, which to me is very interesting because mine did not look like this. Mine wasn't orange at all. It had orange streaks in it, but it was pretty vibrant yellow right out of the tube. And the clip I just showed you of that other YouTuber, her yellow was also vibrant and was not orange. And then directly after this on their story, it shows them applying the yellow on this girl's roots and it's not orange. So that tells me that there's a really big inconsistency in their product. If sometimes it's orange and sometimes it's not. So this next video is a TikTok of theirs. They're showing how to get a vibrant neon green using Cowabunga and Steal My Sunshine. And it also looks orange in this clip. And I did this exact same process when I made my neon green, and it did not turn out to this brown poopy color. So there's definitely inconsistencies, like I said. Basically throughout the video they're just saying trust the process. It's going to look like a poop green when you apply it, but when you rinse it, it's going to be a beautiful neon green. So the only issue I have with this, with direct dyes, you should be able to squeeze a color out of the tube, and that is the color that you should get when you apply it to your hair. That's the point of a direct dye. What you see come out of the tube is what you should be getting. And for people who are not familiar with their brand, they might not know about these different shades and how it might look different than how it's going to rinse out. So I just wanted to inform you guys and show you those clips. This one's super thick too. Go ahead and start brushing these out. Oh, did you think that was blue? No, that's the purple shade. I think this will give you guys a very good idea of how much tweaking I had to do to the formulation. You can totally see like the texture of the dye. It's kind of like clumpy. I know you guys can see that on camera, like the clumpiness of this. All right, so here's the blue shade. Sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed. I feel like you guys can definitely see the clumpiness and the weird texture of the dyes. So that's purple and that's blue. Okay, here's the green shade. I accidentally got other colors in this, but I don't know if you guys will be able to tell on camera, but this pink has a blue undertone to it. I feel like you can definitely see like the blue undertone on the thinner areas. And then the orange. So there's the orange. So here are the colors unmessed with, straight out of the tube. I wish so bad that I had the yellow shade because that was the clumpiest and the worst formulation out of all of them. But again, I'll try and find maybe like a clip of it coming out of the tube so you can see how chunky it is. But there's the orange, it looks like red. The pink is a pretty shade by itself, but it has a heavy blue undertone to it. The green is super dark, like Christmas green. The blue almost looks black, and the purple looks like blue. So these were the shades straight out of the bottle before I made them like my own custom shades. So I hope that this helps you, I don't know, in some way. Again, I wish I had the yellow shade, but I don't. But I wanted to include this so that way you guys could see the formulation and the thickness. Here are my colors. I'm gonna go ahead and start applying. I'm going to do a voiceover on this part because it's gonna take my full concentration and I'm gonna have to work even harder because of the consistency of the dyes. They are much better now that I added conditioner. It kind of thinned them out a little bit and made them more of a normal dye consistency, but it's still going to take me a little bit more time and energy to be able to make sure I'm saturating everything. All right, I'm going to get this process started and let's see how these apply. So I'm going to go ahead and do a voiceover for you guys. I've said in previous hair dyeing videos, but I just prefer doing a voiceover, maybe giving you guys some tips and tricks for you guys to be able to dye your hair at home. And I also just like talking to you guys and hanging out with you. So I want to start by talking about this front ombre piece. I've done this in the past. I'm sure you guys recognize it. I did tweak it a little bit. I wanted to start with purple, blue, green at the top section versus in the past I've started with purple, pink, orange, yellow. I was looking at previous pictures of my favorite rainbow hair color that I've done, and I just felt like starting with pink at the top of the ombre section, it just caused like too much pink to be around my face, because when I start doing the other sections that are pinned back right now, I start with pink. So if I do those front two pieces around my face pink and I also start with the ombre piece pink, it's just like too much around my face. So having the blue and the green starting off, it like creates contrast, and those two pieces are much more noticeable, and I love the way that it turned out, and I will definitely be sticking with that in the future. I also decided to take a smaller section for that face framing piece. In the past, I've taken like really large chunks, and I just wanted just a few little tiny pieces around my face this time. One question I get asked a lot is if I change my gloves in between every color, and no, I don't. I have a towel sitting in my lap and I'm wiping my hands off in between every color. I just cut that part out because it just takes up time, and it's literally just me sitting there like thoroughly wiping my hands off on a towel in my lap. One thing I always try to tell you guys and remind you is to saturate the hair really, really well, so that way you're not going to miss any spots and it's not going to be splotchy. Now, with this dye, it was very, very difficult to saturate the hair. I hate having to say bad things about brands. Like, it just hurts my soul because I know someone worked on that and created that product and loves it. And I hate having to say something negative about it, especially when the owner of the company is someone that I've looked up to and that I admire. If you don't know Hayley Williams, who was the vocalist of Paramore, she is the owner and creator of Good Die Young. And so I was so excited to try this brand, and I had such high expectations, and I was like, yes, it's going to be amazing. Like, I can't wait to like test it out and show everyone. And it turned out not to be amazing, and it just so disappointing, and I hate having to say anything negative, but I spent hundreds of dollars on these colors, and I don't want you guys to spend your money on a product that doesn't work that well and is hard to apply and do on your own when there's other products out there that are way easier to work with. Especially because Good Die Young is formulated and it's made for people to be able to purchase who don't have license and who are dyeing their hair at home. So you would think they would make the formulation a little bit more user-friendly and easier to apply. But even for licensed people, this color would be hard to use because it's like dry. It's so hard to thoroughly coat the hair. And I put a lot of conditioner in the color because it would have been like so hard to use if I wouldn't have diluted it with conditioner. So just know that if you like super thick formulation, then you might like this brand, but it's very hard to saturate the hair. Okay guys, the color is applied. Here's what the color looks like. It says process at least 30 minutes, so I'm probably going to leave it on 45 minutes to an hour. Rinse it in cold water so that way the colors don't bleed on each other, and I'll be back to show you the finished result. We'll see how this turns out. I'm not too sure about it. Okay, I'm back. Here is how my hair turned out, and now I have very mixed feelings. I'm very conflicted because the color is so vibrant and neon. Every color is so heavily saturated in pigment, which I even diluted a lot of mine and mixed my own like custom shades, and they're still so unbelievably like vibrant and neon. The only problem I have with this brand is the consistency of the dye was horrible. It's so bad. I can't even imagine trying to use it without putting conditioner in there to make the consistency a little bit better. If you didn't add conditioner or anything to the dye and you used it directly out of the tube, it would be so thick and very hard to thoroughly saturate your hair. It made it a little bit easier because I added conditioner, but it was still very, very thick. If the consistency doesn't bother you and you're just looking for a dye that's going to last a super long time and is very, very saturated in pigment, I would definitely give it a try. For doing all of these different rainbow shades, I probably wouldn't use them again. I would just prefer Arctic Fox over this because I can get this amount of pigment and it's easier to work with. Another thing I noticed when I was applying the color is it doesn't ever get frothy, whereas Arctic Fox, whenever I'm applying it, it kind of gets a white coating once it's really saturated into the hair because it's such a conditioning dye. With this, there's never a point where it's turning frothy and white. I prefer when it does that because then it kind of creates a barrier, so that way it's harder for each section of my hair to get on top of each other and transfer other dye on other pieces of hair. If you have that white frothy outside on each strand, when each piece of hair touches, it's not going to mix together. This dye was very easy to transfer onto other sections because there's just so much pigment. Another thing that is good about this brand, when I rinsed out my hair, there was no bleeding. The only color I saw running off in the water was yellow and a little bit of orange, which is abnormal. Normally the colors I see run off are like blue and purple, and I didn't see any of that. The water was clear and there was just a tiny bit of yellow and orange. I'll turn around and show you what the back of my hair looks like. That is all for today's video. I hope it helped you guys out. If you're thinking about trying Good Dye Young, I hope this video maybe gave you some opinions or helped you make a decision in some way. You guys have been asking me to try this brand for such a long time, so I'm finally glad I tried it, gave you my thoughts, and I hope it helps you if you're thinking about using this brand. Don't forget to check out my Instagram. The link to that is in the description down below. I post way more of my everyday life on there. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I love you guys so much, and until next time, stay weird. Goodbye.